Homicide 1904. The case of 42-year-old Henry William Cooper. Henry Cooper was convicted of the murder of 30-year-old Margaret Holmes and sentenced to death but reprieved. They had lived together in Canning Town. It was thought that the motive had been jealousy. Margaret Holmes had been married but had separated from her husband and had been living with other men. She was described as bad-tempered and very violent. She had lived with Henry Cooper in the house of a woman in October 1903, except when he was away on voyages. Henry Cooper had been a ship's fireman. Henry Cooper last returned about the end of March 1903, and in April 1903 Margaret Holmes was away from the house for 3 weeks whilst he remained there. During 3 nights, Margaret Holmes had slept with other men, also a sailor, at his mother's house, and it was said that Henry Cooper heard of that and became jealous. And on the 23rd of April 1904, he went to the house and had a row with Margaret Holmes. Following the row, Margaret Holmes applied on the 25th of April 1904 for a summons for assault, which was heard on the 27th of April 1904, to which Henry Cooper pleaded guilty and was bound over. It was noted that both on the 25th and 27th of April that Henry Cooper had seen Margaret Holmes outside the court and had used threatening language. However, Margaret Holmes went back to live with Henry Cooper on the 1st of May 1904, and between then and the 4th of May 1904 they appeared to have been together most of the time, and generally on friendly terms. However, early on the morning of the 5th of May 1904 a struggle was heard in their room, and the landlady called the police, who found Margaret Holmes and Henry Cooper with their throats cut. Margaret Holmes died from loss of blood, but Henry Cooper was saved with difficulty. At the trial, the defence claimed that Margaret Holmes had cut Henry Cooper's throat whilst he was asleep, and that then when he woke, she had then cut her own. However, it was stated that the defence was wholly impossible as it was inconsistent with the evidence on many points, but that it was enough to mention the fact that whilst Henry Cooper had only 1 wound in his throat, that Margaret Holmes had numerous wounds to her throat, chin, face, scalp and hands, and that it was quite clear that her wounds could not have been self-inflicted and must have been inflicted during a prolonged struggle, whilst his wound must have been inflicted after the struggle was over, as it was so serious as to have at once disabled him. Henry Cooper was convicted of murder at the Old Bailey on Wednesday the 22nd of June 1904 and sentenced to death. When he was convicted, he said, "All I can say is that I am an innocent man." He was due to be executed on the 5th of July 1904 at Chelmsford, but his sentence was delayed for a week on account of the condition of his throat following his attempt at suicide. However, on the 10th of July 1904 his sentence was commuted to one of penal servitude for life. Star Street has since been redeveloped, but was where Hermit Road is today, but ran further east.